The Genshin Impact 5.0 livestream just wrapped up, and they revealed all the new characters coming in version 5.0. I want to go through all of them right now, talk about which might be worth wishing on for you, and which you can skip to save for the other Natlan characters that we know will be coming soon. Welcome to Jello Impact, where we build and test every single character to help you decide who you want to wish for and build. So I'm going to come out with a really hot take right now and tell you that Kazuha is not a must pull anymore. And I'm going to show you why. We're going to make a tier list with Kazuha's teammates to help you decide if you should actually get him or not, because I think a lot of people are very stuck in the mindset of last year or the year before, where he was like the only great buffer in the game, and grouping was so important at the time that he was essentially a must pull. But now he's very much not, in my opinion, and I will definitely talk about why. So the first half is going to be Mulani and Kazuha, and then second is going to be Kinich and Raiden Shogun. Now there's something very sneaky about the second half, and Chevreuse has been very absent from previous banners. The last time she appeared was on Raiden Shogun's previous banner, and we've had multiple Electro and Pyro DPS characters such as Cloran and Arlecchino come out, and Chevreuse was nowhere to be seen. Does this mean that Chevreuse is essentially exclusive to Raiden banner? It might be, and Chevreuse is one of the best 4-stars in the game. I have a hunch throughout Natlan, she will become the best 4-star in the game. That's my expectation on Chevreuse, because I believe that we'll get some sort of Bennett replacement, and Chevreuse will still be very excellent on those teams. So this is really some stacked banners, and it's really something to look out for, because you've got Kazuha on the first side, with Mulani, and Keqing on the first side, who's looking pretty solid. One of her main uses right now is, of course, she provides off-field geo damage. She's looking like a really solid support for Navia, and looks like you should be able to make a pretty solid core with her and Chiori if you happen to pull Chiori. So if you happen to pull any 5-star geo characters throughout Fontaine, Keqing will probably be a pretty good pickup for you. We are getting a free Keqing though, so if you just want one because she's cute, I don't know what her constellations are like yet. We'll definitely be making a ton of videos on her soon, but she's definitely not something that should get you to wish on this banner if you weren't going to already. Mulani was also revealed. She's looking like the first forward vape DPS we've ever had. I'll have a pre-release guide for the 3 Natlan characters all at once, because there's going to be so many videos to make, honestly, that I don't want to do a separate video for each one, especially for a pre-release guide. I'm just going to do one video where I'm going to talk about Mulani, Keqing, and Kinich, and how good I think that they're going to be. But right now it's really hard to say. Some people are speculating and have speculated that she'll be a new ceiling DPS, like as good as Neuvillette or Arlecchino. Especially everyone wants to compare to Neuvillette. Obviously, she's a Hydro Catalyst on-field DPS. And honestly, I really hope she's as good as Neuvillette, because I just love Mulani's design. I'm absolutely smitten with her design. It's so beautiful. I love the colors. I love the patterns. Absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite designs in the game. And she rides a shark, which I love. Riding Pokemon is fantastic. I love also the subtle nod to Zenless Zone Zero, where she has a W engine for her weapon, and she rides a shark, kind of like Ellen is a shark from Zenless Zone Zero. Absolutely amazing. She's looking like a get her if you like her character, and get her and don't feel bad about it character. I think both DPSs are. Both DPSs, both Mulani and Kinich, they're not looking like top S+ tier DPSs yet. They may, depending on how much the Pyro Archon buffs them. Most of the time, early on characters will get buffed by the Pyro Archon, by the Archon later on. Wriothesley got a big upgrade with Furina. Linny, although people didn't expect it, actually did get an upgrade from Furina as well. So I really expect both Mulani and Kinich to be upgraded heavily by the Archon. So I think that if you want to go for one of these, absolutely get them, absolutely 100%, and don't feel bad about it, and just make sure you get the Pyro Archon alongside them. Now, Raiden and Kazuha. Let's start off with Kazuha, and then we'll talk about whether you should get Raiden. Okay, Kazuha tier list. We're going to put needed for best team, needed for one of best teams, good team, and then who even knows if we'll have another tier. So remember, I'm not saying that Kazuha's bad or that he's fallen off or anything like that. If you saw my tier list, you know I put him in the very highest tier. You know I value Kazuha really highly. But what I hope to show you with this is that there's a lot of characters that, although he's good with them, he's not required to make that team amazing the way he used to be. So Keqing, if you want to use her as a DPS, you're going to need him for the best team, absolutely. Zhongli, Neuvillette, another one that you'd need him for the best team. He can absolutely have very strong teams with a different animo. But if you want peak Zhongli, then Kazuha is a great idea. They just have such good synergy. and the grouping is just so good for Neuvillotte's amazing AoE, and they just complement each other perfectly, but you can get away without them. I think maybe I'll have another tier here. Needed for best team, but can get away without. Yeah, that's really good. So that's where Neuvillotte's gonna go. That's also where Arlecchino's gonna go. You definitely want Kazuha for Arlecchino's best team, which in my opinion is VV Vape, but a lot of people play Zhongli. You can play Chevreuse. I've been really liking Bennett, Yelan, Mona. It's really insane. So they have a lot of great teams that don't use Kazuha, whereas characters in this tier, like their only viable team needs Kazuha, and that's how it used to be. Zhao, I would put Kazuha on a good team because you can put him as like an AoE grouper, off-field damage dealer, something like that. Maybe it's because you don't get to use his skill grouping very often. I'd say it's more for Wanderer, not as much for Zhao. Fine option, something like that. Linny, I would say same, needed for best team, but can get without. I'd say Linny, you kind of want it more because you can use Xiangling and like do like Xiangling, Farina, Bennett and something like that, but usually you do really want Kazuha. So I'm gonna say Linny. He just squeaks in here, but you can get away without it. Chlorand, definitely needed for one of best teams, but you've also got Overload, you've also got Sucrose, you've also got, and you do have Sucrose for Keqing as well, but the grouping is just so nice. But you've also got Overload with Chlorine, you've got Farina, Hyperbloom stuff, so needed for one of best teams for sure. I guess technically it is the best. It's right, she's right in the middle. I just love Overload so much, but maybe I'm a bit biased because most people don't have C6 Chevreuse, so I'll say here. I do like Sucrose though, and Farina, you know, Farina Official Nahida, or Farina Zhongli Nahida, or whatever is really good too. Risley, I'm going to put it here. You don't generally use Kazuha with Risley. You're generally going to go with Bennett, Xiangling, Farina, or something to that effect. Maybe some burn stuff. So, good team. Shanyan, no. You're not really going to do anything with Shanyan teams and her. For Navia, I'm going to say no, even though you can actually use it when Kazuha is really good. You can use Kazuha Bennett and just put lots of ER Kazuha, and Kazuha will be like your off-field applicator to create crystallizes. It does work, and it's good for AoE, but generally no. Klee, same as Linny, needed for best team. Raiden. So Raiden needed for one of best teams, because you can go, Raiden has lots of great options. She has Chevreuse teams, and she's on the Chevreuse banner, so that's actually practical. But she also has double Hydro Farina teams, so Farina, Yelan, Jean. And then she also has, well, those are the main teams. And then the third one, I find that's the best Hyper Carry or AoE team. Or she has National, of course. I can't believe I almost forgot National, which could be Farina, Bennett, Xiangling, or Yelan, Bennett, Xiangling, or Xingqiu, Bennett, Xiangling. And then she has Buffer, Bennett, Kazuha. So Farina, Bennett, Kazuha, or Kujosara, Bennett, Kazuha. So needed for one of best teams, but honestly, she has so many strong options that you really don't need it. I'm gonna say used for one of best teams, because needed just sounds like you need it, right? Yai does not use Kazuha on the, well, actually, yeah. I mean, if you're using Yai carry, then yeah. But if you use Yai Halitham, then no. And if you use Yai Chevreuse, then no. So yeah, we'll say here. Ganyu. I'm gonna say used for one of best teams because although it's peak melt Ganyu with Kazuha or freeze, I think Farina, Bennett, Xiangling is still my best Ganyu team by a lot. So there. Hu Tao definitely here. You're normally using Farina stuff. Like Yelan, Bennett, Kazuha stuff, very good, but it's by far not the most popular Hu Tao team. Ito, no. Ayaka is needed for best team. Absolutely, Kazuha is an absolute must pull, no matter how you slice it for Ayaka. Very important. Eula, no. Sino, fine option, I would say. Like, you can use Aggravate Sino, but it's generally not very popular. He more wants to do the Hyper Bloom stuff. Nilou is obviously a no. Wanderer, I'm going to say good team. It's one of his best AoE options, but I'm not sure I almost said order Kazuha. I'm not sure you wish for Kazuha just for Wanderer. Seems kind of scuffed, so I'm going to put it in good team. Kokomi. Kokomi is interesting. Like, yeah, like if you want to use Kokomi Mono Hydro, you need Kazuha, but Kokomi has other good teams too, like Nilou and like other more scuffed teams. Like Ayaka Freeze also needs, so it's kind of like Kokomi kind of could go in whatever, but we'll say here. Alhaitham is a no. Ayato, I would say, you can go with Xiangling instead of Kazuha. Like, you can go just Farina, Bennett, Xiangling and get some vapes. Or you can use Kazuha to swirl Farina and Ayato's Hydro and then do lots of damage. That's my preferred way to play. I think you need, his AoE is too good. You need to take advantage of it. I think you need Kazuha for Ayato. For Diluc nowadays, it's a fine option, but Shanyan's the way to go. There's some danky melt stuff out there. It's really cool. A little bit dank for me. Maybe good team. Yeah, we'll say good team. Childe, still needed for best team. Gumming, I think you just want Shangyun. It's still fine. You can still do plunge. Sethos, needed for best team, but can get away without. And then Seijuin, needed for best team. So this is what we're looking at for Kazuha. Now, as you can see, Kazuha is still a very good pull. He will unlock a lot of good options for a lot of your characters. But unless you have one of these characters, which honestly are pretty niche, you will still have great options, even if you don't pick up Kazuha. And I'm just hesitant to recommend people go for Kazuha full stop, no holds barred, when going into a new region like Natlan. Who knows what will shake things up? Who knows if we get another grouper or other buffers? It's about time that we got an upgrade to Kazuha, don't you think? I don't know. I think it is. So this is why right here, I'm not sure that you should go for Kazuha. I probably should have saved this content for the Kazuha guide specifically, but I'll keep this tier list and I'll refer to it for the Kazuha guide. But you guys got some baller content today that you probably shouldn't have gotten in this video. So awesome. But too long didn't read. Don't just go getting yourself a Kazuha just because you heard he's the best thing since sliced bread. Make sure at least that you have one of these DPSs, right? Either the top or the second row before you get a Kazuha and then regret it. Sure, if you want to have that option for your Raiden or for your Hu Tao or whatever, it's a nice to have option. He's nice to have for grouping. Absolutely, but he's not needed the way he was. Farina is such an insane buffer that you can often get away without Kazuha because Farina gives his buff but better, and who knows whatever other buffers we'll get throughout Natlan. And then finally, Raiden and Kinich. Again, Kinich, same thing as Mulani. Get him if you like him. He seems to be focused mostly around burning stuff, so if you pulled Emily, or if you're considering pulling Emily and you want to get Kinich, they're probably going to be best together. He'll probably have other good teams, but that's where he's going to shine the most. It's like a burning thing now. I don't think he'll be unviable without Emily by any means. I think he'll still be solid, but he'll probably require Emily and or the Pyro Archon to really make him pop off to the highest level. So that's what I expect. And then Raiden Shogun, they're basically like buffing Raiden Shogun by just putting Chivalrous exclusively on her banner. So if you want to go for C6 Chivalrous, you end up getting C2 Raiden. And then C2 Raiden, they're like actually making you, like if you want to go for Chivalrous, they're just making you default have C2 Raiden. They wish like they put C2 Raiden as the base kit or something, and they're trying to make everyone get it, like, or something like that, because they're not putting Chivalrous in any banner. They want you to pull Chivalrous on Raiden's banner. I think Chivalrous is insane. You can check out my top 11 4-star video where I talk about how insane she is, or check out where I put her on the tier list. But Chivalrous is crazy. I think that like Chivalrous Raiden teams are really good, like really, really good, especially with C6 Chivalrous, still good with C0. And if your Raiden is C0, it's still very good. If it's C2, it's insane. I do prefer, if you compare C0 to C0, I do prefer Cloran. But the thing is, Cloran doesn't come with Chivalrous on her banner, apparently. Apparently, Chivalrous only comes on Raiden banners. If we even get Chivalrous. If we don't get Chivalrous, only get Raiden if you really love Raiden. Because right now, she's a very comfy DPS. Well, she's a very flexible and versatile DPS. It's very hard. Raiden is a very hard case for me because she's very flexible, she's very versatile, she's pretty strong, but she's not insanely strong, but she has so many teams. So if you care about making a lot of cool teams, and you want a good DPS to build and invest into, Raiden's a great DPS. She has Farina double Hydro, she has Chivalrous, she has, I already talked about the teams that she has, right? National, Farina Bennett Shangling, Yolanda Bennett Shangling, Farina Bennett Kazuha, like pretty much, and she has Hyper Bloom, right? So no matter what you have, you can probably make a great Raiden Shogun team, which is a huge pro for her. So I think she's a great pickup if you like the feel of her kit and you can build some of those teams. So I think Raiden is a great pickup if you want to pick her up. I think she's still, to this day, still a great DPS. She's not one of the peak DPSs for power. She doesn't hold up to Arlecchino or Novelette, and to be honest, she does less DPS strictly than most of the good DPSs. But maybe over time you go for a C2. Even then, a lot of Natlan DPSs have insane C1s or C2s that dwarf Raidens, but maybe you get C6 Shivers, or maybe you just want to have a lot of fun with lots of different teams. So I wouldn't pull her as like a meta strength pull, but if you want a meta variety pull, or you just like her and you want to choose her as one of your DPSs, she has great reasons to get her. That's what I think about these banners. Let me know who you're going to get. Take care. Bye for now.